Featuring exclusive interviews recorded live from our studio in Boston, Solutions Review presents Expert Insights, conversations with technology builders, analysts, and implementers.
I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome to this Expert Insights episode where we are going to be talking today to an implementer. And that is Ryan Fattini, VP of Data and Analytics at City Furniture in Florida. Ryan, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here, Doug. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. And I understand you're going to be on your way up to our neck of the woods in the next couple of weeks to go to Denodo's Data Fest, which we're looking forward to as well. I'm curious, before we get into what you're going to be doing up here at that event, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've been at City Furniture for 5 years. You got a really interesting LinkedIn profile. I like the way you think about your role. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you do think about being the VP of Data and Analytics.
Sure. So it started at City as a software engineer. So I came in when they were undergoing a large tech modernization effort around point of sale systems, supply chain systems. So within the first 3 to 6 months of the software engineering role, we started digging into the data. The data didn't exist. There was no data engineer. There was no data analysts. There was certainly no data scientists. So we started digging into some of City's problems around data, and we started the first data science initiative, which was around forecasting foot traffic for a scheduling system. So we presented to the CEO the potential model, and the CEO bought in immediately. And that essentially was the first data science initiative that we started in 2018 as software engineers. So we weren't data scientists, we weren't data engineers. We just kind of picked up this effort. And then from there, the CFO bought in and we started building out data warehousing, and we started building out our data engineering team and our business intelligence teams and our business intelligence systems. And that led to the virtualization effort with Denodo. And then 5 years later, as the VP of Data Analytics, we have about 25 people on the team that consist of data scientists, data engineers, business analysts. So it was massive growth and fast.
Well, and City Furniture is growing rapidly. I know you have 20 some odd showrooms down in Florida, and it's my sense that you're not going to stop there. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you're thinking about, growing and how you're seeing data impact that.
The goal, the vision from the CEO and the founders is very aggressive. So it's national. So the growth is to be a national player, one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And the data is going to be critical to this. This is not going to happen without a data war machine that we're going to build. The first state that we're going to breach into outside of Florida was going to be Georgia. So we're looking at some market analysis around Georgia, some other states also. But the goal is then to move up the East Coast and out West and to be like a top 5 player, a top 5 national player. And you're simply not going to get there if you don't have a data competitive advantage. You're not going to be able to get, as our founder likes to say, more juice from the squeeze unless you're optimizing your decisions around your data. So the goal is ambitious, and you're going to need your data war machine to get there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that we see that over and over and over again, and we get to talk to companies like City Furniture and smart folks like yourself, and what they tell us is you really can't do it and be competitive if you don't have a good handle on your data, and also use the right data tools. And I know you guys are working with Denodo, and that's part of the reason why you're coming up to Boston to be a featured presenter at the Denodo Data Fest. Tell us a little bit about when you started with Denodo and kind of how you're thinking about, your implementation there.
So Denodo started for us, like I said, 2018. We started as software engineers. We started streaming our data source, which is IBM I, to ADB2 Cloud in about 2019, early Q1. So Denodo came into play around Q4 of 2019. So this was, we kind of hit a bottleneck in engineering where we were streaming the source. We were real time. We had a business intelligence layer that was delivering real time data to about 1,500 associates, but we had several other application sources that we were unable to move. in any kind of an efficient way. And it was a very kind of tedious engineering process. So Denodo was presented to us as a leader in virtualization. We didn't know what's data virtualization. We don't even know what this is. So we got a POC with Denodo in about Q4 2019, and we were able to connect all of our data sources. Our bottleneck evaporated almost immediately. We were able to connect 5 to 10 different databases, different types of databases, non-relational, relational, within a week. So now we have a data fabric. And this is about now Q1 2020, and we're still in the POC phase. So then COVID hits, and we all know what happened. COVID, everything shuts down. 85% of our business is gone. It's furloughed out. There's only a few of us left. And we did this POC. And I think at a time when a lot of companies were defensive, kind of bunkering down, like waiting for the world to end, we just went on offense. We're like, if the world ends, we're going down engineering. So we took that POC, and during that furlough process, we built this thing out into a production data fabric layer. So what happened is now, as things start opening up again and the world starts to slowly get back to normal, we have a data fabric in place. It's so far ahead of our competitors. In other words, you're starting to see data fabric now from the big players like AWS. Like, they're trying to sell us data fabric. We've been there since 2019. So 2020 Q3, 2020 Q4, 2021 Q1 was when you start to see the data team really, really grow. So now we had this architecture that was ready for offense, and then we started bringing in more engineers and more analysts, and then from that point on, it's just been continuing to grow. And then 2021 is where we demoed pretty much this journey at the Data Fest, and then they gave us the award for that one.
You've been to a Data Fest in the past, right? There was a virtual one in 2021, and tell us a little bit about it. You won an innovation award?
Correct. So so the journey that I just described, we kind of laid it out into the technical details and told that story. Basically, that's our story. So in other words, I think that's what kind of resonates is stories. It's always about the story. So it's like you kind of show the human side of it, going through the COVID shutdowns and kind of the pivot and the offensive strategy and kind of how we pushed through it. And it seemed to resonate. And there was some other great stories too, some other great companies doing other great things with Denodo. So we're very lucky to pick that, to get selected to win that one. So that was exciting for us, and that was a great motivator for the team, obviously, and also a great way to recruit. So in other words, okay, we're City Furniture, so probably a company that most people coming out of technical universities might not even consider. Like, why would I go to a furniture company? So when you get noticed with things like that and recognized for things like that, it helps for recruiting. It's like, oh, City Furniture is doing something interesting. Maybe they normally wouldn't even look at us. Now they might give us a look. So it helps with recruiting too.
So I noticed you're featured on the Denodo Data Fest website, event website. You're going to be a featured speaker. We love going to conferences because what we see is, and it's, I guess, a little bit different than what you get out of a virtual conference, is you not only get the opportunity to interact with folks and obviously see some case studies and some other best practices, but you get that kind of organic interaction where you bump into people at the breakfast or at lunch or even at the cocktail hour afterwards. And it's always been my experience that in-person events are really hard to replicate virtually. I mean, I'm sure you've been to your fair share of events. I mean, tell me a little bit about, kind of how you think about events in general, and in particular, Data Fest.
I love them. Massive value, tremendous value in person, and I think that translates also to collaboration. So the kind of hybrid, the kind of like debate about in office. I think there's a benefit to being remote sometimes, but there's absolutely a benefit from being in person with people. I've solved so many problems in City Furniture because I bumped into the VP of software engineering, and he had a question in his head. We go to the whiteboard in 7 minutes. We've just solved a massive problem that never would have happened remotely. I'd have to dig through his calendar, find a slot for him, find a slot for me, back and forth, and just give up. So I believe the in-person conferences is the same thing. Every single conference I go to, I get tons of value. It's almost like it's not from necessarily the presentations, but the happy hours, where you really get to talk to the insiders and you really get to kind of understand what other people are doing and share what you're doing. And I find tremendous value from those in-person events. So I'm excited, especially Boston. I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, so I love to be back there.
Yeah, no, we're excited too. It's right down the street from us, so we'll be popping in as well. This has been great to catch up. I think everybody should certainly check out City Furniture in Florida, particularly if you need some furniture. There's a lot going on, and there's a great showcase of furniture online. But secondarily, the Data Fest, and Denodo. I know there's a case study, quite an extensive case study on the Denodo website in case anybody doesn't get a chance to go to Data Fest but wants to learn more about how Ryan and City Furniture has been solving their data challenges. But Ryan, appreciate the time today. This has been great. And hopefully we'll get to running into each other over at Data Fest.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Doug.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.